is very wrong with the beef in America. Oh, yeah, I said I wouldn't react to this because probably I didn't watch it, okay? It's just by the title and by the text that the person sent. I think JW sent this one to me through Ko-Fi, but I said that I wouldn't react because probably we will involve talking in very influential people in my country that is dominated the beef marketing and all of its derivatives worldwide. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think that is gonna talk about, but let us see. Let me see. Let me see what if we will touch that part and if I need to talk about that or not. And yeah, let us see. Maybe I can talk some things. But I cannot risk much, to be honest. Because if we're gonna talk about the people that I think we will on this video, I better not, because it's very close friends with the dictator here, you know.
And they ban American beef.
They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
For a very long time, American beef and pork was universally known for being so flavoursome and tender that it built America into one of the largest meat exporters in the world. But then, something very strange started to happen.
And China is stepping up efforts to cut its dependence on American farm products, cancelling record levels of U.S. pork imports.
Gone from Moscow's meat counters, beef, turkey and pork imported from the U.S. A wholesale ban has started. A market worth more than $500 million a year could be finished. Russia says it's anxious about a growth stimulant U.S. farmers feed to animals to make their meat leaner. Ractopamine is banned in the European Union and China, though the United Nations say at low levels it won't harm humans. Russia disagrees and insists it's not singling out the US.
As time went on, more and more countries began banning American meat import. Today, more than 160 countries now restrict or ban American meat, entirely due to how it's produced. This even includes America's largest trading partner, the entire European Union. American politicians have been telling everyone that this is just politics, that these countries are banning American meat to gain leverage in the trade war. But something about this does not quite add up. Many Americans are noticing that something is seriously off with their meat.
Is it just me, or is food not fooding right now? Like, I've been a chef for nearly 30 years. I went and bought some inexpensive $10 a pound 80/20 Black Angus to make burgers on the grill today. While it's cooking, the smell hit my nose and I said, this don't smell right. I pull it apart, I look at it, and then I realize it's like Play-Doh. See, ground beef, when it comes out of the extruder, it has strings and you can see them in the ground beef. This was more like putty, almost like silly putty, like that slime that you see.
What the fuck? Are you talking that you guys are now eating like meat made in lab? Oh no, I don't think we will talk about what I was thinking before. I think we will talk about something else. And now I think I know more or less the direction to where this video is going. Yeah, I think it was a false alarm, but I know very well that those people I mentioned before, like without saying the name actually, but it's deeply like it's creating deep roots on the meat like market on the US right now, and owns already half of the US market in meat. I will not talk their name. If you guys do a research, you guys will know who I'm talking about.
See that they make burgers, like frozen burger patties with institutionalized food. This is $10 a pound on sale, private selection, Black Angus, 80/20. And I'm gonna tell you, it crumbles like it. This ain't beef. You can fool me all you want. This ain't frickin' beef. What are we eating, folks? What the hell are we eating?
Oscar is here. Now, I wanted to know how ractopamine changes the taste and texture.
Let's find out what we are eating.
I've been chewing on this little bit here from this one for a while, and I don't know which was which. This one I can chew and get down. This one, and I just keep chewing forever. So
working it over.
Working it over. And this one is actually easier to get down, but this one seems to be sort of saltier. Like, please tell me which is which and why we're finding that. It's an interesting difference in taste also.
Yes, this is the pork from the pig that has been fed ractopamine. And people are literally tasting the difference.
I did my grocery order from Walmart, and this is the hamburger they gave us. But you guys, it's not... Guys, there is no way that's 80-20. There's no way. Literally, come on, guys.
Bro, did you see that meat? Like, what is it? That's not ground beef. That's not ground beef. I don't know what they are using for food nowadays. And we need to be aware of what's going on because they haven't been talking about it on the news. And we really need to get together as American people because, this ain't right.
Now, these clips may just be the opinion of a few people, but here's what destroys this entire trade war narrative that US politicians and large cattle lobbyists are trying to claim. When a country bans an import for trade or
And I thought, and here I was thinking that our meat here is getting really terrible. But looking for the things that I've seen on this video, like, it's not comparable.
Political leverage, they specifically say that. They cite tariffs, retaliation, or protecting their own farmers. But none of these countries that have banned American meat have said that. Not a single one. Every country that has banned American meat, each and every single one, has banned it for the same single reason. Because they believe that it is not safe for their citizens to consume.
They are
I even
not on
managed to find
sale,
this
Dream
old clip
Bunny.
of Joel Salatin, arguably the most respected and well-known independent farmer in America, who has spent the last 4 decades exposing the industrial meat industry from the inside.
Farmer Joel Salatin.
The industry thrives in a shroud of secrecy, and that's why they don't let people come and visit their slaughterhouses. They don't let people come and visit their farms. They've got no trespassing signs. The truth is that if the average American knew how their food was produced, they would make very, very different food choices.
So, what on earth is going on? Why is the rest of the world refusing to touch the meat that American politicians swear is the best on the planet? Well, that is exactly what I set out to find. I spent weeks digging through every single claim being made on both sides. I looked at court documents, FDA records, and the safety trials that this whole banning of US meat was built on. What I found was shocking. 50% of American beef cattle are raised using a
Yeah, of course, because we need like politicians and these regulatory entities to tell us what actually is safe for us and what is not. And I always remember that very simple saying that you guys had, that if you choose safety over freedom, you end up having none of these. So yeah, it always goes back to that, right?
A growth promoting drug that, when directly consumed by humans, causes some serious problems. And when pigs and cows consume this drug, it actually ends up in their meat. So if you've eaten supermarket beef recently, there's a high probability you've consumed it. But by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to avoid it for good, without having to shop somewhere other than your local supermarket or pay any extra. With that being said, let's read the files the meat industry has spent the last 25 years trying to bury, and get to the bottom as to why nearly every country on earth won't allow its citizens to consume American meat. Unsurprisingly, this all starts with a big pharma company. This is Eli Lilly, the largest pharmaceutical company in America. In 1984, at their research labs in Greenfield, Indiana, their chemists developed a drug they believe would be the most effective asthma treatment of all time. Internally, they called it EL-737. The idea of this drug was simple. During an asthma attack, the smooth muscle around the airways tightens. EL-737 was meant to bind to those muscles and force them to relax. But when they tested it, to their surprise, it failed. In these asthma patients, it showed no real effect on their breathing. But they did notice something very interesting when they tested this compound on animals. In animals, it produced an extraordinary effect. When fed to rodents, the scientists observed that they would break down fat and build lean muscle at a rate beyond anything they'd ever seen. And the biology behind why this occurs is both fascinating and disturbing. The way this drug works is it acts as something known as a beta agonist. It acts on a system inside your body called the sympathetic nervous system, better known as fight or flight. When you're chased by a predator, get into a fight, or have something your body sees as a danger to its survival, Your body, it releases a hormone called adrenaline. That adrenaline travels through your body and locks onto specific docking stations on the surface of your cells called beta androgenic receptors. Once those receptors are activated, they trigger a cascade of survival responses. Your heart starts hammering to pump more blood. Your airways open up to suck in more oxygen. And crucially, your body starts ripping apart its own fat stores and dumping this fat into the bloodstream to fuel your muscles for the battle that's ahead. At the same time, it signals to those muscles to hold on to every scrap of protein that they have, because in a life or death moment, your body cannot afford to lose muscle. Now, this is meant to last seconds, maybe minutes. It's an emergency mode the body is designed to switch on, use, and then switch back off again. A beta agonist, however, is a compound that hijacks this exact system. It slots into those same receptors and triggers the same response, except it doesn't switch off. When fed to an animal every single day, muscle piles on. Now, it's pretty clear that this is a compound with the potential to be extremely hazardous, but think about it in the context of selling meat. Meat is sold by the pound. The larger the animal, the more money you can sell it for. By industry estimates, pigs fed a beta agonist in final weeks before slaughter gain weight more efficiently and yield more lean meat from the same feed. At the very low end, they make at least $2.
And that's why Mom always tell when she goes buy chicken on the local farmer here, on the local locally, and when she buys from a huge factory, on the market, that taste is different. But yeah, but meat we don't have a choice actually. Everyone buys meat here from the very, very same company. And it stands for, oh gosh, JBS. Okay, I'll only say that.
Extra per pig. Across the roughly 130 million pigs sold for pork in America each year, that's around $250 million in additional revenue. And that's simply from pigs alone. Across all animals, it's billions of dollars per year. Now, Eli Lilly certainly thought about this. A lot. Because it didn't help with asthma in humans, but did produce this insane muscle growth effect in animals, they decided to abandon their original plan and hand EL737 to their animal health division named Elanco. They decided to rename it to ractopamine. The Eli Lilly animal division had just one problem, however. When ractopamine is fed to animals, it can accumulate in their meat. So, if they wanted to be legally allowed to start selling this to farmers, they had to prove to the Food and Drug Administration that this drug was safe for humans. So in 1994, they contracted a team of scientists located in Austin, Texas.
Thank you very much, Terry.
They asked them to conduct a study for them. These scientists recruited 6 healthy young men to test on them how ractopamine affected humans. The design of the study was very simple. They administered these men with 5 separate single doses, spread over roughly a week and a half. And then once administered with it, they measured their heart at hourly intervals. The first dose they gave these men was 5 milligrams. There was no measured effect. The second dose was double this. Again, no real effect. At 15 milligrams, however, their heart rate started to increase considerably, on average by 20 beats per minute. This might not sound like a lot, but a heart rate of 70 is the average for a young, healthy male. So this was a 29% increase over baseline. 2 men actually reported to the scientists that they felt their hearts racing. A day and a half later, they were given their next dose of 25 milligrams. This resulted in an average heart rate increase by 30 beats per minute. This time, 3 men reported that their heart was racing.
God.
In fact, 1 man had to be pulled here due to, quote, adverse cardiac effects. When given their final dose of 40 milligrams, the average increase in heart rate of these men went up to 50 beats per minute, a 71% increase over baseline. This time, 4 of the remaining 5 men reported their hearts racing. Now, Eli Lilly saw the results of this study and thought, well, realistically speaking, there's never going to be more than 5 milligrams of ractopamine in a single steak. But you know what, this is going to be in everyone's meat, so it's probably a good idea that we test this on more than just 6 men for a single dose at this level. Let's run some more tests, get a larger sample. This way we know for certain that it's definitely safe for humans. Yeah, just joking, no they didn't. They decided that there was enough human data and submitted a request.
Of course not, because here it comes the lobbyists, and they are just publishing whatever they want to say. Okay, guys, this is safe. You can consume it. Just do that, trust me. And we are saying that because, of course, we are not gaining millions to say that this is safe to eat, you know? So yeah, just trust us and eat a lot of meat now because this is good for your health, okay?
To the FDA, seeking formal approval for ractopamine to be given to pork-producing pigs. Before they even had the chance to seek approval in Europe for ractopamine so they could sell it to farmers over there, the European Union passed Council Directive 96/22 EC, a law that banned the entire class of beta-agonist growth promoters in all food-producing animals. So ractopamine was outlawed across all of Europe before it ever reached the market. But in 1999, the United States FDA released new animal drug application 140863. This document announced that ractopamine was now allowed to be fed to all pork-producing pigs across America. Their reason was that there was enough animal data showing it was safe. Then 4 years later, they also approved it for beef cattle. Due to how profitable it was for farmers to use ractopamine, within just a decade of its approval, it was being fed to roughly 80% of pigs and beef cattle in America. Very quickly, some serious problems started to arise. But before we discuss these, a quick word from the sponsor of today's video. Nearly all electrolyte brands use cheap salts contaminated with heavy metals, use extremely low quality ingredients in general, and also have poor dosages of each electrolyte, which actually end up
what the hell is mango lemonade?
Making symptoms worse. This is why I have partnered up with today's sponsor, Saltar. What makes Saltar so great is their sourcing. The unflavoured version is just pure sea salt from unpolluted waters, which have been third-party tested for heavy metals, as well as potassium gluconate and magnesium glycinate, which are the forms of magnesium and potassium that are best absorbed. They're also dosed perfectly, which means you get the maximum benefit. They also have other options like flake electrolyte salt and organ seasonings. Their website is the top link in the description of this video. Thanks to Saltar for making videos like these possible. As more and more farmers across America began feeding their pigs ractopamine, reports started flooding in of them experiencing everything from uncontrollable trembling to broken limbs. Some farmers reported their pigs would simply collapse and couldn't stand back up. This became so common, the industry coined a name for these animals. They're called downer pigs. Ractopamine very quickly became the animal drug with the most adverse event reports ever filed to the FDA. By 2011, more than 160,000 pigs had been reported with adverse effects. For cattle, the numbers aren't as public, but one study looking at 79,171 cattle found that the ones administered ractopamine during the at-risk period of it were 91% more likely to die than those who were not, despite the fact that it was now in most of the meat in the United States. As a result of these devastating effects on animals and the lack of human safety data, China and Russia followed in Europe's footsteps and also imposed strict bans of their own on ractopamine. And over time, more and more countries followed. Today, ractopamine and American meat is banned or restricted in more than 160 countries. And those who only have restrictions, in order to sell American meat there, the producer has to prove that the animal it came from was never fed ractopamine. Without exception, all of these countries cite the exact same reason for this. They say American meat is simply too beautiful. Yeah, no, that's not it. They all specifically use two keywords: safety concerns. This begs the question, if all of these countries are banning American meat, is it actually safe to be eating? To thoroughly answer this question, we must look at it in two parts. Firstly, what percentage of American pigs and cows are fed ractopamine? And secondly, how much of this ractopamine actually ends up in their meat? Luckily for us, there is a lot of data on this. In a year-long study published in 2025, the UCLA Olympic Analytical Laboratory, the same lab that screens athletes for performance-enhancing drugs, tested American pork and beef purchased from grocery stores across 8 US cities. Now, all of the pork samples actually came back clean. They detected essentially no ractopamine in pork samples. The reason for this, however, is not what you'd expect. What happened was in August 2018, African swine fever broke out in China and within 18 months killed nearly half of their entire pig herd. As a result, there was a massive demand for pork in China, and the prices of it doubled. This created a great opportunity for pork producers all around the world. But China only accepted ractopamine-free pork, so American meat producers, they had a decision to make. If they wanted to access the largest pork market on the planet, they had to get rid of ractopamine from all of their meat. So in the wake of this outbreak, to capture more of a global market, between 2019 and 2020, 3 of the 4 largest American pork processors, JBS, Tyson, and Holycow. They all decided
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Enters JBS. Oh yeah. It's from my country, guys. I only say that. You know that everything that comes from my country is marvelous, right?
to walk away completely from ractopamine. Smithfield, which is the largest pork producer of all, had already began phasing it out years earlier in 2013. This was because they had been bought by a Chinese company chasing that same export market. So due to the swine fever outbreak in Chinese pigs, ractopamine is no longer present in the vast majority of American pork. However, here's the thing. Beef cattle, well, they don't get African swine fever. And the 4 largest export markets for US beef, Japan, South Korea, Mexico, and Canada, they have all never banned ractopamine. Because using ractopamine is highly profitable, the beef industry, they have never walked away from it. And as of April 2025, the Penn State Agricultural Extension Service confirms that up to 50% of American cattle is still being raised on ractopamine today. Okay, so our first question is answered. We know that nowadays the majority of pork producing pigs are not fed ractopamine, but the majority of beef producing cows are. The question that remains is, does this ractopamine actually end up in the beef sold to us at grocery stores? Again, the answer here is very straightforward. Many studies have confirmed it is found in beef samples from grocery stores nowadays. And I want you to think back to the start of this video, at the clips of Americans noticing that something is off with their meat. It's very easy to look at these people and, call them crazy conspiracy theorists. But when beef samples containing ractopamine are analysed in a lab by scientists, they observed some very interesting things. For one, texture changes. A study by Schroeder and colleagues found that cattle fed ractopamine produced measurably tougher meat. A shear force test showed the meat was 4 to 17% harder to cut through. This is because ractopamine ramps up muscle building so fast that the muscle tissue accumulates more of a protein called calpasatin. Calpasatin blocks a natural enzyme called calpain, and this is the enzyme that's supposed to soften meat as it ages after slaughter. This rapid muscle accumulation also causes more water to accumulate in the tissue. This changes the acidity of the meat, which can result in it being a different colour or going off faster. So unless these TikTokers have a terrible butcher, it is possible that what they're noticing is real and that something is actually going on. However, having a slight change in texture and acidity is a very different thing to it being dangerous for you. So, what does the data on this actually show?
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, usually something that tastes weird will not be healthy, Of course, like if you think about that, most of the fast foods taste very well and it's very unhealthy. Okay, right. But I'm talking generally speaking, yeah, it's something tastes weird. It's because probably it's not because it's not probably for you to supposed to be eating,
In terms of actual numbers regarding how much ractopamine actually ends up in the beef itself, that same study conducted by the UCLA Olympic Lab, they actually in that same study looked at beef samples as well. They tested 53 American beef samples and found that 24.5% came back positive for ractopamine. Now you might be thinking, hang on a sec, you just said that 50% of cows are fed ractopamine. So why is it in the study that only 24.5% of cows tested positive for it? Well, now it's time for the good news of this video. Cows are what is known as ruminant animals, which means they have a very complex digestive system. It has 4 chambers that can ferment and break down a very high percentage of essentially everything that they consume. So very little ractopamine actually ends up in beef compared to other meats such as pork, which comes from animals who have much simpler digestive systems. This is why we see that on average, beef muscle tissue samples from cows fed ractopamine contain on average around 10 times less ractopamine than pork samples from pigs fed ractopamine. The reason for this difference in percentage between the number of cows who are fed ractopamine and the number that actually test positive for it is because the cow's digestive system is so good that when fed ractopamine, a large percentage of it is broken down and excreted. So the levels in their meat are so low that often it can't even be detected. One thing, however, that is very interesting is ractopamine doesn't distribute evenly across the entire animal. 3 separate studies have shown that beef liver contains ractopamine at 10 to 15 times the level found in muscle tissue, and 20 to 40 times higher in the kidneys. This biologically makes sense. The liver is the body's detoxification organ. It's where the drug gets broken down, and the kidneys are responsible for filtering it out into urine. Hence why we see higher numbers in these organs. Now, we know that at high dosages, ractopamine certainly has the potential to cause some serious harms. But what actually
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I kinda often eat like liver. Yeah. I eat a lot. I'm in danger, I guess.
matters is whether or not the levels that you are getting from your meat are anywhere near a dangerous dose. In that Eli Lilly human study, the volunteers were given escalating doses, and they only started reporting racing, pounding hearts once they reached about 15 milligrams and above. And a single gram of beef from a cow.
Mac and cheese, man, I've never liked the liver. I like very much with onions. It's very, 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 very nice. I like very much.
Fed ractopamine. There is between 0.33 and
Garlic,
0.76
onions,
nanograms. A typical
very
8-ounce steak weighs around 230 grams. So to consume 15 milligrams of ractopamine, where the subjects in that study started to report effects on their heart, you'd have to eat more than 40,000 pounds of steak at once, which looks a little something like this. So although the Eli Lilly trial did find real heart effects in humans, it only saw them at concentrated single doses you yourself could never reach by simply eating beef. In terms of whether or not this very low quantity found in beef causes us humans any harm, well, I mean, it's kind of impossible to say for certain. We literally only have that one study with 6 people. But realistically, based on the animal safety data we do have, even if every single meal you have, you're eating meat that is from cows fed ractopamine, it appears the risk of it causing you any harm is extremely, extremely low. In more recent times, when the European Food Safety Authority has re-reviewed ractopamine, it is concluded that, based on all data, it isn't strong enough to establish a safe residue level for human consumption, and therefore has refused to endorse any safe
Yeah, of course I would trust them. With all my soul, yes.
limit, maintaining its strict ban. All of these countries that have banned ractopamine, they essentially state the exact same reasoning. They do not ban it because they have proof that it is harmful at the levels found in beef. They ban it simply for precautionary measures. However, if you want to avoid this drug in its entirety, you actually can. And it doesn't require you going to some random farmer's market that is full of hippies, or draining your kid's entire college fund. All you need to do is look for one of 3 things on the packaging of your meat, and you can guarantee you will never consume meat from an animal fed it. The first is the USDA organic seal, that little green and white circle on the package. By federal regulation, if this label is on
seals on the meat, it doesn't exist here. It just doesn't exist here.
your meat, it means that they have certified that this has not come from any animal given any synthetic growth promoter. The second is the American Grass-Fed Association certification. This is a separate sticker. The AGA also explicitly bans every single beta agonist. So if this sticker's on your meat, it also means it's free from ractopamine. And the third, if you can't find either of those, is the words never fed beta agonists or never ever fed beta agonists. If either of these words are on your package, it means the USDA.
None of these words are in any package here. Because they don't need to put that. And I wonder, my country loves to regulate everything, but I wonder why they don't regulate the meat. I wonder if it's not because there is only one company that owns all the country meat. Internal market, you know? And also, I mean, external too. Owns already almost half of the US market of meat, like some of the fish market too, in other countries, and in some Asian country, and I forgot which Asian country now. I think it's Vietnam. I don't recall right now. And it's going to Paraguay too. Oh my God! Why I cannot shut up my mouth, man? Why I cannot shut up? Why I cannot shut up? Why I need to talk this stuff? So yeah, why the government would create seals to make difficult? Like the most lovely, the most loved partner on the I will not say anything. Okay.
Is verified that is complete.
He only creates seals to difficult the market, in other things to difficult the market, so he creates another national champion here. But because on the meat market there's already just one corpo that is this one, he doesn't need to create any seals at all, so he doesn't even care about that. You know? Yeah.
Completely free from all beta agonists. All of these labels can be found at every major US supermarket. And because very few people know about ractopamine and beta agonists in general, you can often find meats with these labels on them that are not much more expensive than the ones without them. At the end of the day, in an ideal world, a perfect society, none of the meat we eat would come from any animal that is fed ractopamine or any of these hormones. But luckily, because cows have such a complex digestive system and contain such small amounts of ractopamine as a result, even the cheapest ground beef you can find is still a great nutrient-dense food. The thing is, basically everything nowadays contains some sort of toxin. I mean, all fruits and vegetables are literally sprayed in a compound designed to be so toxic that animals can't eat it without dying, just so we can then eat it. So even if all you can afford is the cheapest conventional beef, don't stress, it's still better than essentially everything else. Well, that is what the so-called shroud of secrecy regarding the meat industry is. Anyway, as always, great speaking with you. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video looking at what's really in the food you eat.
Yeah, and that's because we don't even dare talk about vegetables, right? We are now seeing people talking about the meat market like very often. People are too much worried right now, and with reason, of course, about the meat market, but I don't see people talking about the vegetables anymore, like if the as if eating vegetables is the most safest thing one can do, you know, and it's not. Definitely it's not. And it's difficult because you think, oh, I need to be healthy, so I will not eat this shit that is industrialized, you know, in packages with a lot of salt and everything. I would just buy vegetables and meat and have a healthy diet. No, you will not. Because you have like a lot of things on your vegetables too and on your meat. So what the fuck? What the hell are you supposed to do? It's complicated, man. Oh my god, it's so complicated. Oh, it's simple, Mizuki. Just buy everything on your local farmer. But it's so easy, right? It's so easy. Literally, there is no local farmer where I live. And even if I manage to find some, they would sell it so freaking expensive, and I would do. We both would be committing some type of crime against the government because we wouldn't have government seals on that and all of that stuff. So it would be dangerous to me and to the person selling, and that's why it makes it become so expensive. You know? Wow, amazing. Buy the shit meat on the market that is already all shitfied like that. It's already so freaking expensive here. Imagine going to a local farmer and ask, hey, kill a head of cattle to me so I can buy 1 kilo of meat. Of course it will. Very nice, yeah. Before we go any further, I want to take this brief moment here to thank all of you, my patrons, for the incredible support to my work here on YouTube, and especially my 5-Tail Fox Tire member, the Holy Ball, and to all of my 3-Tail Fox Tire members, Wallany Wolf, Fanny Sylvie, Heat Himself, Chile Not Serious, Eustace the Useful, Zealous Isaiah, Ala Rosas, Max Tenor, Nicotino, Avery, Halcyonic Eder, and TV8. Thank you very much. You guys are amazing. Also thanks to everyone that have been supporting me on Ko-Fi, Kick, and to all of my YouTube members. You can support this channel life and growth with just $5 a month and gain access to many perks. This is less than a burrito. Check out my Patreon. Link is in the description below. And that's it for today, my dear Fox Links. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.